Wednesday morning. The Los Angeles Lakers making a flurry of moves in NBA free agency, which began at 6 p.m. Eastern on Monday afternoon. And this is what we expected to see. Major overhaul with this roster, major overhaul with this team. And when we look at all the moves, the most notable one yesterday, the Lakers reunite LeBron with his old-time buddy, Carmelo Anthony. Finally, after 19 years, it's taken. After 18 seasons and into his 19th season, Carmelo Anthony is finally a Los Angeles Laker. Dwight Howard was also signed by the Lakers. Trevor Ariza, Kent Bazemore, to name a couple. Malik Monk, they signed yesterday, who I will touch on. Kendrick Nunn as well. They re-signed Horton-Tucker. And the thing that is notable about this is that the Lakers have clearly outlined and laid out what their game plan is. And that's to win now. But there's a difference between a winning now mentality, going all in right now, and actually having a structure in place so that you can replicate winning now. So when we look at what the Lakers have been doing for LeBron, this roster is not a roster built for the long-term future. This is not even a roster that's been constructed for beyond this season. They've got 4 guys. That's it. 4 guys on their entire roster right now that are signed through multiple years. They got LeBron, AD, and Russ, their big 3, and they got Marc Gasol. That's who they had signed for a long-term, a quote-unquote long-term deal prior to yesterday. And now you add in Horton-Tucker, who signed a 3-year, $32 million deal. So that's only 5. 5 of the 12 guys. The remaining roster is comprised of guys all on 1-year deals. And so what you're seeing is that the Lakers and Rob Pelinka saying, listen, we got LeBron age 36. We are trying to milk as much of this Anthony Davis, LeBron James duo as we possibly can. We are trying to milk this duo into as many titles as we possibly can. We need to extract the most out of their talent on a year-by-year basis. This isn't a roster that is going to be the same thing next year. And this isn't to suggest that the Lakers can't win the title this year, can't win the title the year after that, or 3 or 4 years down the line. But what they're setting themselves up for right now is consistent turnover, being able to surround these guys year in and year out with guys on 1-year deals, because this is a 1 year at a time mentality, literally a 1 year at a time mentality. And so, yes, this is an old team, but that's why this works on a 1-year basis. As I mentioned, they're not structuring this team to be able to sustain multiple years and have a legitimate core for 5-6 years down the line. They've got 8 players that are over the age of 30. They've got 5 players, which is an NBA record for guys that are over the age of 35, who they signed in the same offseason. So you got Carmelo Anthony, 37, LeBron James, 36, Trevor Ariza, 36, Dwight Howard, 35, Marc Gasol is 35, Kent Bazemore is 32, Westbrook is 32, Wayne Ellington is 33. And under any other circumstance, I would acknowledge, well, this really isn't sustainable or a pragmatic approach to long-term success. But that's the thing about this roster, and why I love all of these moves is because they're not thinking down the line. And the value that one championship can bring, and what we saw, the value that one championship already brought, is enough of an impetus to say, let's surround our 2 stars with guys that can continue to keep us in contention year in and year out. And again, that's why Rob Pelinka, I think, has done a masterful job building out this roster, because now let's look at the personnel standpoint. It absolutely fits now. At first, there was only one piece to the puzzle. Russell Westbrook. How is he going to fit in with LeBron and AD? But now we're starting to see, okay, we're starting to fill out the rest of the roster. We got Wayne Ellington, who can shoot the three ball extremely well. And that's what they found is, okay, we needed shooting. How did we address shooting? Well, we bring in Wayne Ellington, who shoots above 40% from three. Carmelo Anthony coming off a season in which he shot a career-high 41% from the three-point line. Bazemore shot 41% from the three-point line last year. Malik Monk shot 40% from the three-point line last year. So we've got guys who can shoot the three ball. We just added Kendrick Nunn as well, the guard from the Miami Heat, who took significantly less money to sign with the Lakers. He shot 38% last year. And so, yes, the defense will take a little bit of a hit. But again, the fact that you have veterans coming to the squad, I actually think can potentially enhance their defense in moments, because I think that they're going to buy into Frank Vogel's defensive scheme. And yes, more of the onus will fall on Anthony Davis, who they still have, Taylor Horton-Tucker, Malik Monk, Trevor Ariza, and Russell Westbrook. Those are probably going to be the guys that are asked to exert more energy on the defensive side of the ball. With LeBron at 36, yes, he can still play defense at a high level, but he has to pick and choose his spots. And then we look at, okay, so they've established some shooting. Sure, their defense might take a hit, but now let's look at the depth of this team. Why did the Phoenix Suns go so far last year? It's because they had a guy in Cameron Payne who could back up Chris Paul. They had a deep team that didn't just rely on Devin Booker. The Clippers had depth on their team. Kawhi Leonard goes down. They got Terrence Mann dropping in a career-high 39 points to clinch the series against the Utah Jazz. So now the Lakers, they've got energy. They've got juice. They've got instant offense coming off the bench. If you want to say the first guy off the bench is Carmelo Anthony, fine. You've got a guy in Carmelo who's not only an ISO scorer, he can shoot the three-point shot. You can give it to him when the offense breaks down. He averaged 14 points a game last year. Kendrick Nunn is instant offense off the bench. He averaged 14.5 points per game last year for the Miami Heat. He's a guy that can provide shooting and depth to back up whoever the point guard is. You've got Malik Monk, who can shoot the three ball. He averaged a career-high 11 points per game, 41% shooting from the three-point line. That was a career high for him. So then perhaps Taylor Horton-Tucker, we saw his playmaking abilities like Monk. The two of them can create, they can distribute, they're athletic, they can get up and down the floor. Those are the two young guns on the team. And so I like that. And then you have Dwight Howard again, the guy in the middle. I should have grouped him together with the defensive guys to keep an eye on. And the one piece that people aren't talking about is the fact that Dennis Schroeder is still technically on the team. And the reason why that's significant is because now the Lakers can use Dennis Schroeder in a sign and trade situation where they can try and recoup a defensive player, a defensive stalwart, in exchange for Dennis Schroeder. So when I look at what the Lakers have done, sure, is it the absolute ideal fit? No, but I wouldn't go as far as to say that this is a complete group of misfits. These are veteran, seasoned, experienced players, which is LeBron's preference, that will come in, understand their roles, and buy in to that system. Understanding, hey, we've got an opportunity to compete for a championship. And this is why you have teams like the Lakers and the Nets that are able to draw in a lot of these veterans, is because, hey, we see an opportunity to chase a ring. We see an opportunity to win a title, but also have clearly defined roles on the team. And that's what's impressive about the Lakers is you've got not only just random veterans that are joining the team, but guys that will be able to plug in and fill specific holes. Trevor Ariza, former Laker coming back. Wayne Ellington, a former Laker coming back. Kent Bazemore, a former Laker coming back. Dwight Howard, a former Laker coming back. They understand what this franchise is about, and it's not going to be a shock to them, all the media coverage and everything else. Now, I will say that letting go of Alex Caruso was a tough pill to stomach. I absolutely adored Alex Caruso. He's a fan favorite in Los Angeles. And I understand why the Lakers had to let him go, because the reality is the choice was simple. They had a mid-level exception and around the amount of money you could spend on a mid-level player. And the two players they were deciding between were Alex Caruso and Talen Horton-Tucker. It's as simple as that. They had about $9 to $11 million per year to give to one of those two guys, and they opted to go with Talen Horton-Tucker. And to be honest, I understand that move, and I'd probably do the same thing. And I'm thrilled for Alex Caruso that he got his money, that Chicago paid him a huge contract, 4 years, $37 million. He deserves every penny of it. I absolutely adore Alex Caruso, and he will be revered in Los Angeles for the number of years. The journey that he's had to overcome, starting in the G League, working his way to a two-way contract, finally making the Lakers roster permanently, being a major contributor to an NBA championship team with the Lakers 2 years ago. He deserves every penny that he's getting, but the reality is there is an inherent ceiling with him as opposed to Talen Horton-Tucker. We've seen likely the peak Alex Caruso, which is great, and I absolutely love him. Talen Horton-Tucker's got so much upside. I understand why the Lakers signed him 3 years, $32 million. They need to keep him around. And again, this is what happens when you play alongside superstars, is you get other veterans to flock to your team, to take discounts, to be a part of special groups, to be a part of groups that have a chance to compete and to contend. And again, going back to Carmelo Anthony, just so happy to see him be reunited with LeBron James. He's going to be extremely motivated. Not only will he buy into his role, but I think he'll play inspired basketball on both sides of the floor. Again, it's just a one-year contract. He understands his role. He's accepted his role. And being in Portland did wonders, just totally revitalized and resuscitated his career. And now he's a legitimate contributor. And again, I understand this is a veteran and an older laden group. This is an older group, but this team isn't built for the future. It's built for 1 year at a time. And with that model in mind, I think that this will work wonders, and I've really, really liked the moves that they've made so far this offseason.